Hello my movie peeps, another CinemaCon panel has just concluded for Universal Studios. It's been a pretty busy week here on the channel and I'm insanely grateful for all you guys clicking, subscribing, liking, doing all that wonderful stuff. But here now we are going to be focusing on what Universal revealed to us, and I gotta say, they might have had the best panel out of the entire week. You're gonna have to give me your opinion down below. But although we did not get the Freddy Fazbear news we wanted, and I think I have a pretty good reason for why he was not mentioned, everything else that they revealed here, kind of hype, kind of exciting, might be the best studio presentation so far of the week. We got Paramount tomorrow. We'll see how they do. As always, timestamps will be in the description and I look forward to hearing what you guys think. Okay, so yes, Universal kicked off their CinemaCon panel here with a sizzle reel focusing on directors in the industry and talking about how important it is to physically go to the theaters. You had people like Jordan Peele and Christopher Nolan talking about the importance of it, along with showing tiny snippets of upcoming movies. And as a reminder, that is the whole point of CinemaCon, is to celebrate physically going to the theaters and supporting theater owners for the experience. Remember that piece of news because it'll come in handy later. That then segued us into Christopher Nolan taking the stage and showing off some footage for Oppenheimer. Now, of course, this has been the sad trend of CinemaCon. A lot of this footage is not getting released online for us, the public, to enjoy. It was a scene with Robert Downey Jr.'s character talking about how the Russians have created a bomb, creating the spark so that they can start creating their own bomb. People really seem to be taken back by the footage, and don't worry not, because Christopher Nolan did confirm that in 2 weeks, during the release of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, we will get a new Oppenheimer trailer in theaters, so look forward to that. From there, Universal tossed it over to Illumination to talk about some of their upcoming projects. They did talk about the success of the Mario movie. I was hoping that was them going to reveal to us a new Nintendo film or confirming the Mario sequel. It's definitely coming though. The movie's about to hit $1 billion. We getting a lot of Mario movies. But instead, what they decided to reveal to us was some footage for their upcoming animated film called Migration. One reporter described the footage as Migration. Kumani Nanjiel plays an overprotective father who is scared to leave the safety of the pond, but his wife, played by Elizabeth Banks, wants to experience the wonders of the world with her family. Awkwafina, Keegan-Michael Key, Danny DeVito, and Carol Kane also lend their distinct voices. There was a teaser trailer that played in front of the Mario movie. You know what? Illumination has been doing some really fun things. They might not tell a story as powerful as like Disney or Pixar, but I can definitely say without a doubt, if I want to just go to a theater to be entertained and have a good time, Illumination is doing that, so I'm kind of excited for Migration. From there, they brought out Will Ferrell on stage to talk about his upcoming dog comedy, Strays. Some of you guys might have seen the trailer that has been released online. The funniest thing about this is the way they describe what Will Ferrell was doing on stage. Apparently, there was a bit going on where Will Ferrell had the dog from the movie, Sophie, and he was getting upset that the cameraman was focusing on the dog instead of him. Showing you this photo of Will Ferrell with the dog and reading to you what he said. My career is going to go on for a long time, but this is the peak for you, Ferrell said as the camera operator kept cutting back to Sophie's soulful eyes. If there's a Strays 3, we'll have to recast you. That's an eternity in dog years, and that's not even Hollywood years. I'm looking forward to that movie. I wish I could have seen that full bit because I think that actually sounds really funny. Moving on from there though, we got Blumhouse coming up on stage. Horror fans everywhere were screaming, Freddy Fazbear, Freddy Fazbear. We didn't get that, but we did get some cool stuff. First off here, you had Jason Blum kind of hyping up Megan, where he again doubled down that we are going to be getting a sequel coming out January of 2025. He also hopes that this will be a long-running franchise, so it doesn't seem like they just have plans for one Megan movie. They want to do multiple Megan films. But while saying that, he also mentions that it's also important to have original movies that become franchises. Megan was an original film that is now going to get milked to become a franchise, and he's saying that he's hoping Blumhouse can keep up that trend, give you sequels to a bunch of movies, but also bust out some original films. It was there where he kind of segued and hinted heavily that the Black Phone is looking to also be getting a sequel. I definitely want a lot of sequels of Megan there, especially just knowing how crazy and fun they could take that universe. Having a doll movie where the doll is moving about and doing crazy things, I love that. The Black Phone I also really enjoyed. Don't know where they could go for a sequel, but if you give me a good story, I'd watch it. Then that brought us here to talk about their main player, the Exorcist reboot, coming out this year. They finally officially gave us a title for the movie, naming it The Exorcist Believer. Not really crazy on the title, but I'm also just kind of indifferent on it. I guess I'll have to wait and see on the context of the film. It just makes me want to say The Exorcist Believer and put a photo of Justin Bieber all exorcist out, but my Photoshop skills aren't there just yet. But regardless how you feel about that title, they also showcased the first bit of footage for this movie, and it does kind of sound interesting. Let me read it for you. We have here, the footage begins with Leslie Odom Jr.'s daughter missing. Turns out she was in the woods, but now she's in the hospital. Baby, you've been gone 3 days, he tells her. Later, she starts convulsing, but there's another young girl getting impacted by the demonic possession. We see one enter a Catholic church screaming, "The body and the blood, the body and the blood." Ellen Burstyn reprises her role from the original movie as Chris McNeil, and she steps in to help these folks with the possessed children. Turns out, she definitely knows something. She confronts one of the girls later in the trailer and exclaims, "We've met before." Not gonna lie, that has me a little hyped right there. It's not just gonna be one possessed little girl, it's gonna be 2 possessed little girls. The way they're also going about connecting it to the original film, because as far as I know, this is ignoring all the other sequels. The mom has dealt with this specific demon, and the demon recognizes her. There was also another detail about the movie where David Gordon Green, the director of the last 3 Michael Myers Halloween films, said he's hoping to be reinventive with the franchise, and that kind of made some people mad with Halloween Ends doing something really fresh and new, but that's what I desperately want for the Exorcist franchise. I'm not a big fan of demon possession films. I feel like they're all formulaic. They all been the same. I mean, do we not just get like a pretty crappy Exorcist movie every other year? So to kind of hear that he's wanting to do something different, change it up, that's what I'm really looking forward to. So you know what? Hook me in with this Exorcist news. Here's though where I do want to talk about why Five Nights at Freddy's was not mentioned, and I really should have thought about this before hyping it up on Twitter, like, oh, maybe he'll show up. Maybe they'll show a poster. It's because it's being released in theaters and on streaming the same day. CinemaCon is all about going to the theaters and only the theaters. The association is owned by theater owners and is also run by theater owners. So Blumhouse was no way gonna talk about a movie that audiences can choose to go to the theaters or just watch at home and make theaters lose money. That's when we should have known why they didn't talk about Five Nights at Freddy's. But just to give you FNAF fans something to look forward to, I found some bit of information I don't see anyone talking about. I plan to do a whole separate video this weekend, and it's some juicy fun stuff, so get ready for that. With the Blumhouse panel then over, we moved on to Dreamworks, where they started talking about some of their animated films. They showed footage for their upcoming movie, The Teenage Kraken, really focusing on it being the anti-Little Mermaid movie, where the film is going to be about them trying to go after an evil mermaid, although everyone loves mermaids. Kind of indifferent on the film. Some of it looks really sweet and fun. Other parts feel like something I don't need to watch right away, but hey, if you're excited for it, that's awesome. But the next movie here, I think we can all agree with, is fantastic. They started talking about Trolls 3. Okay, moving on. This was actually really exciting. Jack Black came up on stage to talk about Kung Fu Panda 4. They confirmed that the director will be Mike Mitchell, and they showcased some of the first footage of the movie, revealing the premise. That sounds really exciting. The movie looks to be about Po looking for the next dragon warrior. This adventure leads him to go out of his town and into the big city, where he encounters a villain named the Chameleon that has the ability to summon foes from Po's past. Basically doing a version of Spider-Man No Way Home with Kung Fu Panda. We're gonna see villains from all the past movies kind of come back to fight Po? That sounds really epic. Also, this story about him transitioning the torch of the Dragon Warrior to someone else, that could be emotional. It could basically be the end of Po. I really wasn't like that excited for Kung Fu Panda 4, but that's hitting the right notes for me. I like the sound of that. Some things I do want to mention that weren't really part of the CinemaCon panel, but I thought was cool, is we did see logos for movies like Saw X. This is by Legendary, so it's of course not going to get mentioned in here, but I thought, you know, why not throw it in there for you guys? It's It's just awesome to see that logo and to finally know officially the movie is called Saw X, because that's just what the fans were calling it, but now we know that is the official title they're going with. Even though it's the 10th film, it's going to be a movie set between the events of Saw 1 and Saw 2. And look, the Saw storyline is so convoluted, but whatever. As a fan, if this is good, I'll accept it. And then also a logo for Expendables 4. I remember this movie was going to be a solo kind of focused movie on Jason Statham's character, Christmas, but then something happened during pre-production where they were like, you know what, this is just a regular Expendables film. It's not a solo film anymore, just Expendables 4. They also showed off some footage for an upcoming Ryan Gosling movie called The Fall Guy, where it'll center around Ryan Gosling playing a retired stuntman who gets called back into the industry when his ex-girlfriend is going to be directing her first movie. People who saw the footage said it looks like really fun and action-packed. A lot of people compared it to having the same energy as Bullet Train. That's an awesome, fun action movie, so to hear, you know, a Ryan Gosling movie where he's a stuntman doing that kind of stuff, sounds like a good time. Ending the panel with none other than Vin Diesel himself taking up the stage to talk about Fast X. You have two different types of moviegoers and journalists responding to his speech. One person saying that Vin Diesel sounds like he's talking about the Fast and Furious franchise like it's Schindler's List, while another sees him as being sincere and really motivating to get people to go to the theater. It's up to you to how you think Vin Diesel would have handled that speech. Ending the panel by confirming that Fast X Part 2, which is technically Fast and Furious 11, the movie that is going to end the franchise, will release in 2025. Deciding then to end their presentation with some first look footage to the upcoming Wicked movie starring Ariana Grande, and people were completely mesmerized and blown away just looking at like some of the set photos and behind the scenes video of this movie that got really popularized by the Broadway play. I'm sure it's gonna be great, set in the Oz universe and whatnot. Not really my cup of tea, but hey, when they release that footage to the public and it appeals to me, I'll be there for it. Overall, that was the Universal panel here. I want to know from you guys, was this a banger one? Where do you rank it in all the other presentations? What was your favorite announcement? Don't forget to come back tomorrow for the Paramount presentation. Anything and everything, be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.